Monday Night Football started a Seahawks quarterback controversy. Now, both you and I on Monday, following that big win over the Eagles, said, guys, we get that this quarterback controversy has been started, but we gave our take at the time, which is, look, Geno's your starter. That's not going to change. Like, good for Drew. Drew's padding his resume. He became much more likable to both of us after this one with an amazing post-game interview. But we both were like, look, our mind hasn't changed, and that's because Pete's hasn't. However, then Geno came out with his own game-winning touchdown drive, right? And two of them in the fourth quarter. Did that solve a quarterback controversy that you saw existing, Bump?
It's crazy how similar these two games were.
Yeah.
You got Drew Lock, 22 of 33, 208, 1 touchdown. You got Geno Smith, 25 of 36, 227, 2 touchdowns. You got 11 incompletions for both of these guys. You had game-winning drives for both of these guys. You have the exact same score for both of these guys. No, I still think Geno is the guy, and he will be the guy, and he should be the guy. I got into it with somebody on Sunday over the text lines, and I go, they did the exact same thing. This guy texted in. He pretty much said I had a disability. It was like, oh,
He
Bump.
said that to you?
Hey, he's texting. He pretty much called me a name.
Okay.
And he goes, well, Bump, it's the Eagles are 10-4 or whatever. Look at the record. I go, well, the Eagles' pass defense was garbage.
Yeah.
Like you're thinking of the defense from last year. It's not the same defense. So quit with the name calling and just look at the specific stats when it comes to each team, because both of these teams struggle in the pass game when it comes to the Titans and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, if Drew Lock would have went out there and threw for 300-something yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns, and looked dominant the whole game, then maybe there's a little bit of controversy. Drew Lock had like 116 yards in the first half. You know, he got most of his yards on that very last drive, not knocking Drew. Did exactly what he needed to do. Then you look at Geno. He didn't play well the first half either. The football wasn't tight like it used to be, like we're used to seeing. There's something seemed off, and then both quarterbacks were able to flip the switch in the second half. Mm-hmm. So I look at that and I go, all right, well, where's the difference? I'm going to tip my cap to Shane Waldron for once, because we've been on him about his play calling, about getting tight ends involved, running the football, and some way he was able to get both of these quarterbacks, who are considered to be backup quarterbacks by a lot of people, both these guys, to play better in the second half. I look at this situation and I go, nah, things have not changed. I mean, their performances are so identical, or so close to being identical, that that is crazy. The one thing that Geno did not have on his side is that the run game was not going the way it was for Drew Lock. Geno had to kind of grind through this thing and get things going. Kenneth Walker, 16 carries for 54 yards, a log of 24. So most of his yards came on one carry. So, changes absolutely nothing for me, man. Geno is still the guy. He should be the guy. His 4th game-winning drive of the year, his 16th of his career, and 64 starts. It is what it is. I'm good with Geno. Doesn't change anything.
Seeing the sentiment that you talked about. 360, similar. No, Geno beat the Titans. Drew beat the Eagles.
Exactly.
It's not the same, man. Geno's played with one team all year. Drew had 3 days. What Drew did was way more impressive. I just think that it sounds like, Bump, if your mind is made up that Drew is the answer and you're done with Geno, literally nothing Geno does will change your mind.
No, you got your mind made up, and that's fine. I mean, that's cool. But the Eagles were 28th against the pass. And people are sitting there acting like Drew ain't at practice. Drew's not in the meeting room. Drew's not taking notes and getting ready to go. Is it harder to come off the bench and perform in short days' notice? For sure. I'm not saying that. But it's almost like when I hear people talk, it's like, oh my God, Drew was just at the house watching cartoons with his girl or something, and came out on a Sunday, won a ball game, or Monday won a ball game. I go, what Drew did was dope, for sure. But he's a professional. He's preparing as if he is going to be the starter. So if there's any, I guess, advantage to the way you look at the performance, then you give Drew that, is that, man, it was like, what, 3 days of prep.
Yeah.
And then you came out and you won a ball game. Actually, you competed to win a ball game. You prepared all week against the Eagles as if you might be the starter, but got the tap on the shoulder 20 minutes before the game.
I think to answer the bigger question is just there's a reason the backup is always the most popular. I mean, when Geno initially came in for Russ, there were people that thought Geno should be the starter over Russ.
Yeah.
And at the time, we were like, that's ridiculous. Like, Russ is your starter. You don't want to mess up the chemistry of a locker room by having a quarterback carousel when you're a playoff team. Like, that can be dangerous. But also, like, yeah, your backup's going to come in and look great, but the starter's always the starter for a reason. Like, that's who the coaches believe in more. That's who the coaches think fits more. That's who they would like to put out there more often than not. It doesn't mean the backup isn't great or qualified or can't do things, but, like, that's what the coaches choose. I don't think anything – the ultimate thing that matters is I don't think anything has changed Pete Carroll's mind.
No. I think and I think you have to ask yourself, do you believe in what Pete Carroll and the gang are doing, right? They lost 4 games in a row. The season's on the line, and they find a way to get a backup quarterback to play well enough to win a ball game. You come back, you don't have Jamal Adams. I know people were asking for him not, I'm not asking for him to lose his job, but people aren't happy with the way he's performing. You got a corner in Reek Woolen who's been struggling. He bounces back. There's so many other stories going along in this thing. I think it comes down to, do you trust Pete Carroll's judgment or not? If you do not, and you are in the group that are calling for his job, you crazies out there, you're probably saying, I want Drew Lock to play as well, because you're questioning everything that Pete Carroll is doing at this point.
Right.
I'm just not there. You can be there if you want to, but I still believe in Pete Carroll and what he's doing. I trust his decision making. Is he going to make mistakes? For sure, he's going to make mistakes. Nobody is perfect out there. But Drew Lock would have to go out there and be NFC Player of the Week for me to be like, all right, maybe we should really consider him. He played well against the 49ers. You beat the Eagles, who are horrible when it comes to defending the pass. But then Geno comes, and it's the same thing. So there just wasn't enough separation in numbers and performances and demeanor and what coaches are saying. No one really separated themselves. So I wouldn't feel comfortable benching Geno and putting Drew out there.
I like this person's take, which was, oh gosh, I lost it. It went down the text line. But, oh, right, shouldn't we just be happy we have 2 quarterbacks that showed they could win on a fourth quarter drive? That's kind of what I'm stuck with here. Like, I think that Geno seems to know your offense better and seems to have I know people will look at Drew and say more upside because of his arm and his youth, but, like, Geno, I think, has proven this is his job, even if Drew has come out and looked good. I'm fine with Geno being your starter. That being said, it's a good backup situation to have, and that seemed to be the message Pete Carroll had after the game, which was it didn't even matter who was out there. We found a way to win. Like, he was most proud that this team found ways to win in the fourth quarter both times when their backs were against the wall.